Welcome to the Empower Series Online. My name is Clifton Johnson. I'm the founder of the Empower Series, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization brought to you by the generous donations of Comerica Bank, AE Media Group, and our viewers in the United States and around the world. So welcome to the Empower Series. If you want to find out more about the Empower Series, definitely check us out on our website, www.empowerseries.com. You're on YouTube right now, so definitely like us, share us, make a comment. Do not keep us a secret. Our topic today is going to be on visioning and goal setting. And we've got a guest that's going to share an inspiring story with you. His name is Andre Notice. He's a real estate agent, but more so, he is an author of a book called Your Purpose Is Not For You, a step-by-step guide to understanding your purpose and why it's not for you. Not only is he a real estate agent, but he's also a speaker, he's a mentor, and he's an entrepreneur. When you hear his story, it's definitely going to give you hope that whatever you envision you can achieve. It's going to inspire you to be consistent with your actions and acting on your ideas. Definitely, we're going to be educated today. And more importantly, at the very end, we're going to get connected to resources to help us take that next step to achieve our goal. So without any further ado, my man, Andre, thank you for spending a portion of your life with the Empower Series community and pointing into us, man. Welcome to the Empower Series.
Man, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me, sir. I'm so blessed to be here.
Most definitely, man. I'm excited to hear your story. As we were talking before, we're on our 12th year right now. And what we do is we bring people like yourself to share your inspiring story of how you've accomplished your goals facing adversity to achieve something that when you first had the idea, you didn't have any resources, but just the idea and the belief that it was achievable. So I want you to introduce yourself, tell us what you're doing now, but then as you share your story, go back and put yourself in that space where it was just the beginning. And maybe a lot of our viewers are probably in the same position you were years ago when you first had this idea before you reached your level of success. So tell us a little bit about yourself right now. What are you all about and what are you doing?
All right, so well, I'm the realtor for your dream home. We need to buy or sell. I'm the life coach for those that feel like they're going through hell. I'm the speaker here to motivate, encourage, and inspire. I'm a poet as well, grab the mic to spit bars of fire. I'm a servant is who I am, on a mission to serve, not sell. And the book that I wrote is changing lives as well. When it's all said and done, I help others reach their full potential by helping them find their purpose. To find true joy, it is essential. So Andre Notice is my name and inspiration is who I be. It's true, I live to give, and you will notice me.
I love it, man. I love it. So that's a great name too. Andre Notice. That's your legal name. You didn't change it or anything, right?
That's the game the guy gave me. Yeah, that's been my name since birth.
Man, there are no accidents, man. So let me ask you. You talk about since birth. Did you know? When did you know that your name was about you being noticed and really inspiring other people?
You know, what's interesting about that is the fact that growing up as a child, going through the school, is that the same things that other kids laugh about are the same things that you appreciate later on in life. You know, so I didn't know going through the school system that I was, meant to do things or become a leader or encourage or inspire others. But my name was always different. It was always unique. And it's always something that people remember, and even if they can't remember specifically what it is, they remember that it's something different, So I'm just grateful for that. I'm grateful that God gave me my name.
Well, man, I'll tell you, you're being noticed now, right? And you wrote this book called Your Purpose. And I love the fact your purpose is not for you. Right. Tell me about that, man, that whole process of writing this book and what inspired you to do that?
So honestly, God gave me the title to this book about 6 years ago, and I never did anything with it. All I had was a title. I had a title, but I never put any pen to the paper. I never did anything with it. And throughout the years, I just kept running into individuals and realizing that so many individuals in life had no idea what they were supposed to be doing. And it was causing so much turmoil because they would always drift to the left, or to the right, mainly because they had no idea as to what they were supposed to be doing specifically. And I believe that every person that was created was put here for a specific reason and purpose. And it's our duty, our responsibility to find out what that is. But few of us actually do. So in my years of soul searching and seeking and trying to find out who I am, I came across a lot of information that made a lot of sense that I began to study and research. And I started to see that I had the answers to a lot of people's questions. And it happened on so much on a reoccurring basis that I found myself encouraging and inspiring others when I wasn't even trying to.
Right.
So when I realized that, I just put one and one together and realized that this is what I was supposed to be doing. And I didn't start writing this book until February of this year. Mm-hmm. And less than 6 months later, the finished product has been published.
You got it. So you started in February 2021, right?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot it's a new year already. Yeah, February 2021 when it started. And less than 6 months later, I had the book published.
But you had the idea over 6 years ago.
Correct. I can actually show you a notebook that I still have to this day where I wrote down the same title from I think it was 2015, but there was no book, just a title. So I actually took a class from a gentleman by the name of Raymond Aaron, I believe his name. Mm-hmm. And he had a coaching session to where he would actually co-write a book with you or have his name in the book mentioned because he was somewhat of a celebrity at the time.
Yeah.
But I never paid the money to take his class. I didn't have the money at the time. But last year, I ran across an individual who helps people not only write books, but profit from their books. And I took her course and I had the book afterwards.
Well, I tell you what, man, here's the thing. The Empower series, as I was saying before, is all about making sure that we do 4 things in every program. We definitely want to make sure that we give people hope because that wakes us up in the morning. We all have ideas, we all have dreams. And if we were hopeless, that's the worst place you can be. So knowing that no matter how many times you haven't acted on an idea or no matter how many obstacles you've run into, wake up with hope that the next day, you can take that next step, no matter how many steps you're pushed back. So hope is important.
Great.
And then we all have ideas. And as you're progressing and achieving your goals, people just see what you're accomplishing, but they're not seeing the process of all of the ideas that we have that we're not consistent with, that we're procrastinating with. And really, when we get an idea that is so big, it's bigger than our belief that we can do it, that's sometimes, we derail ourselves. So I want to make sure that we're inspiring people to take action on their ideas. I cannot wait to hear, what you are teaching us in this book that you have. So I definitely want to make sure that we're giving people some education and then connecting them to resources so that they can realize that they have the resources around them to achieve whatever goal they want to achieve. And I want to really just have you take us through your story, man. Take us through, again, the idea that you had where you didn't have any concept of, how you were going to get something done, but you stuck with it. The visioning that you had to go through. If you did visioning board, the writing down your beliefs, your affirmations, whatever process you went through, and the hardship that you experienced as well. And I think that when you do that, there are people listening now that you're going to be an inspiration to, and you're going to be that lifeline to help them keep the faith, stay inspired, and get connected to resources to help them.
Got it. Yeah, definitely. And I don't mind sharing my story because, it's through stories like these that other people are inspired and that they have the will and the courage to be able to go out and create their own success story. So I believe my story starts off around 2011. 2011, I was licensed. I've been licensed as a real estate agent for about 17 years. I got licensed in 2004. In 2012, however, I decided I was going to quit my job. I was a sales rep at T-Mobile. I decided I was going to quit my job and go full-time in real estate. And what I decided to do was I was going to sell cars and sell homes at the same time. So I had a friend And this friend was making quite a bit of money selling cars. He would buy them and he'd sell them on Craigslist.
Okay.
And he told me that if I wanted to do the same thing, all I had to do was trunk in some change. I would go with him to the auction and I could do the same thing. So that's what we did. I would go to the auction with him. I would throw him $100, $200, $300. I'd buy a car. And then when I came home, I post that car on Craigslist and I'd sell it for more than I bought it for. So I was flipping cars. So I did that alongside I was selling houses. Now, shortly after I was doing this, that friend that I was utilizing that had the dealer's license died on a motorcycle accident. When he died, I lost that stream of income. Shortly after he died, I was living on my own, but I had a roommate. And my roommate sent me a text saying, hey, man, I just want to let you know that in 2 weeks, I'm going to be moving out. Now, I had 2 streams of income, and now I'm down to 1. All of my bills are split because I'm paying half the rent, he's paying the other half the lights, half everything. Now he's telling me that in 2 weeks, it's all on me.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I was sitting in my bathroom and I didn't have the money to go to a barber, so I was going to cut my own hair and learn how to do it. And I'll never forget, there was a song that played. It was a gospel song because I was listening to gospel at the time. And it was Donald Lawrence, and it was a song called Coming Strong. And the song says, I'm coming strong on your behalf. And the song said that I closed every door just so I can be the one to open it. And I know it was interesting because I've never heard that song before, but when I heard it that time, I just knew God was talking to me. Yeah. I just knew he was speaking directly to me through that song. Because for the next few years, I went through it. I ended up being evicted from that apartment. And I moved from that apartment to a hotel. I was living in a hotel, and I remember I sold my TV just to get by. I had a 32-inch Samsung. I sold a 42-inch Samsung, and I sold that on Craigslist. One of my friends, she was asking questions. She found out about my situation, and she offered me a chance to stay with her. So I stayed with her at her house for quite some time, and I was driving. I had a C-Class Mercedes Benz at the time, and I was staying with her, and I was driving that car around trying to do deals with real estate, and constantly things would just fall apart. I would have somebody that was ready to go, and then something would just go wrong. Right. And I remember I was driving on the south side of Houston, and I got into a car accident. When I got into a car accident, my car was being repaired. But in order for me to pick the car up, I had to pay a $500 deductible. Right. I didn't have the money to pay for the deductible. So that car ended up getting repoed. So here I am living with a friend. I have no car, and I'm trying to run a real estate business. Yeah. I remember there were times where I would literally ride a bike to the grocery store, sometimes in the rain. And I did this for quite some time. And after being with her for, I think I was there for over 6 months. And then she decided it was time for me to move on. So I left her and I went to another friend. And I stayed on her couch. And she had 2 kids. And I stayed there for quite some time. And then I left her and I went to another friend. And then this last friend I stayed with, I ended up staying in a 1-bedroom apartment with 5 adults and a child. Wow, dude. 1 car. So 5 adults.
Let me ask you, during that whole process, man, like what were you doing? Like you're going from place to place. Like, were you working on a vision? Were you working on a dream? How did you What was your mindset during that process?
I was optimistic. I was optimistic. I had a goal to make it in real estate. I had a dream to make it in real estate. I didn't want to go back to the workforce. I didn't want to go back to being employed. I didn't want to go back to working for somebody else. I didn't want to go back to where I had just came from.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I was going to stick it out. It wasn't easy. I mean, I would have a deal closed here and there, but it wasn't consistent enough that I can rely on my own stability and income.
So if you're talking to somebody right now who, let's say, they're getting knocked down, like they have a dream, they want to accomplish something, but for some reason, their current state of mind is they're not making enough money to support themselves. They need support. The support that they have is getting tired of them, staying. I don't know what prompted them to say, hey, it's time for you to move on. But obviously, the people who are blessing you with a place to stay only blessed you for a certain amount of time, and you had to move on before you were ready to step on your own. So what message would you tell somebody who's experiencing that level of doors shutting in their face?
Yeah, so the thing about it is, when it comes to success is not it's not a straight path. It's going to come with a lot of bumps, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of hurdles, a lot of pitfalls. That's just part of the journey. And I believe that life is going to ask you a question. Life is going to ask you, how bad do you want it? And there's a saying that I've been saying for years: success is saved for the strong. So what that means is that only those that are willing to endure will succeed. Because Johnny's going to go through those pitfalls and hurdles, and so is Sarah. But only one person is going to endure. The other is going to turn around and retreat. And you have to ask yourself, how bad do you really want it? Do you want it bad enough to continue being in an uncomfortable position? I wanted it bad enough.
During that time, did you know what your purpose was then?
No. I didn't know what my purpose was. I just had a desire to make it on my own without having to work for somebody else.
Okay. So what would you tell somebody, given that you've written this book and it includes a whole bunch of steps, and if people want to really understand that, definitely we're going to give them a way to contact you and buy your book. But
Right.
What would you share with us as the steps that you went through to really get clear on your purpose, have this vision, and then identify goals to get you out of that period of time where you just weren't, able to sustain yourself?
Yeah, so you have to understand that when it comes to success is something that you attract by becoming an attractive person. So in order for your life to change, you've got to change. And you have to change who you are. You have to change your mindset. You have to change your words. You have to change your actions. You have to change your thoughts. And all those things combined is an accumulative factor to take you to where you want to go. So if I say that you want to change, I believe that there are 3 steps to change. All right, so 3 action steps to change, 3 A's. Number 1 is awareness. You got to be aware of what's going on around you. You want to be aware of where you are. You want to be aware of where it is that you're going. Number 2 is acceptance. You have to accept the fact that no matter where you are right now in life, you have to take full accountability and say that I'm here because of me. I'm here because of decisions that I didn't make or did not make. And you can't blame anybody else. The moment that you point a finger and blame somebody else, you've lost the power to change, because now you're pointing fingers. Now it's somebody else and not you. So you got to be aware, you got to accept, and then the last thing you have to do is act. You literally have to do some things different. And when you act, you want to make sure that you're acting with discipline. I like Brian Tracy's definition of discipline. Brian Tracy said the definition of discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not.
Word.
Now,
that's a grown man move right there, right?
Yeah, real talk. But the thing about it is the key word in the definition of discipline is feel, whether you feel like it. We do things based on feelings, but our feelings lie to us. Our feelings change. So what if you don't feel like doing it? You're not going to do it? You know? And you want to act whether you feel like it, whether you're motivated or not. Because there are days you're not going to feel like doing it. There are days you're not going to feel motivated. So what? You got to do it anyway. And then you have to be consistent and persistent. You have to make sure that you're doing things on a regular, day-to-day basis that's going to take you to where you want to go.
So one of the things I read about you when you were this whole period of time where you were struggling lasted for what? Was it 3 years, or how long did it last?
I was actually going house to house, and then sleeping in my car for a total of about 3 years.
So it's not like a phase, man. This is like 3 years of struggle, and you're coming up with these steps like awareness, acceptance, action, and being disciplined. I also heard that you got these things because you started listening to people on YouTube. So instead of you having the money to go pay for a life coach or get coaching, you use the resources that were around you, which was YouTube, and you listened to these coaches. So who inspired you during this 3 year period of time to develop this awareness, this acceptance, and taking action and being disciplined?
In 2006, when I was living with my dad, they came out with a video, a movie documentary called The Secret. It was Rhonda Byrne and Bob Proctor and a couple other guys. And they were talking about the law of attraction. And I got so fired up when I saw it, but I never really continued studying the information. But when I was going through these valleys, I would always come across individuals and listen to individuals that had strong success stories. So I literally got addicted to personal development.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, Miles Monroe, Tony Robbins, you name it. I was listening to them on a regular, consistent basis. So they became my virtual coaches, my virtual mentors. And YouTube changed and saved my life because I can listen to these audio recordings regular every single day for free. Earl Nightingale is probably one of my favorites.
Man, you mentioned some old school stuff, man. How old are you now?
Well, foundational, it doesn't change. I'm 37 now, but it does not change. These are all biblical principles.
Yeah. Hey, look, it really wasn't a secret because it's in writing, it's in the word, right?
Exactly.
They just packaged it in a certain way, but I love what you're saying, man. And then Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
And then I introduced somebody new to you, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. Did you research?
I haven't heard of him.
But did you look at the link I sent you?
I'm ready to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. I want to get to it.
Yeah. So he kicked off the Empower series. And again, he's espousing the same principles that are, ancient wisdom. We become what we think.
Yes.
We become our most predominant thoughts.
Yes.
And the most difficult thing that we can do is to hold on to this thought and believe this thought when our present circumstances is so contrary to where we want to be.
Agreed. Yep, that's right. And that's the thing, though, is that you literally have to change your thought process. And it's not easy because you've been conditioned to think the way that you've been thinking.
Yeah. And
you have to break that mindset. You have to break that mold and to be able to change and shape the way you're thinking in a whole new different way. And it's not something that was taught in school. We're not taught in school how to do that. So you have to teach yourself how to do that.
So while you were going through your valley of 3 years, you were immersing yourself with people that you were running across on YouTube. And
Yep.
so you had life coaches, or
Yep.
just feeding your mind with concepts and principles that you had to apply. And like you said, change yourself.
Yep.
Or before your outside circumstances ever changed, you had to change yourself first.
Yeah, because so what we're experiencing right now in the physical realm is nothing but a physical manifestation of the internal. The internal expresses external. So whatever's inside is going to be expressed outside. What goes in comes out. That's just the way that it is. It's cause and effect. So if your effects are not what you're experiencing, then the causes got to be changed. And most people, what we do is we try to change what's spiritual with natural. That can't be done. You can only change natural with natural and spiritual with spiritual. So you gotta use the right things.
So as a life coach, how would you take somebody through that awareness? And again, guide us through the process you went through. You know, you went through the valley of 3 years of not having the outside, be in alignment with the vision you had.
Right.
And so how would you coach somebody through that? And then through the next phase of now beginning seeing some of the manifestation of what you're envisioning.
Right. So what I try to get people to do first is find out who they are and what it is that they want for themselves. Take a look at their own selves and the gifts that God has given them, because God has given us all gifts. And I believe in what this quote says. It says that your gifts will make room for you. So if your gifts will make room for you, you need to know what your gifts are. So you can have some room created for you. So I try to get people to pinpoint first on what their gifts are. What are those things that they're good at that comes easy to them that is harder for other people to do?
And if they say, I don't know what that is, then how do you guide them through that? Like, I don't know is like the biggest roadblock, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Reading my book will help out a lot because it'll help you pinpoint some things and ask some questions. But it really comes down to asking yourself a lot of questions. It really comes down to doing a lot of self-reflection, looking back at your past, paying attention to other people around you and how they react to what it is that you do and what you say. So there's a whole process of which you can go through to try to figure those things out. And once you do, and you're able to pinpoint or have a great idea, it's not enough to know what your gifts are, but it's your responsibility to cultivate those gifts. So, for instance, I think most people would agree that Steph Curry is one of the greatest shooters, if not the greatest shooter to ever play the game of basketball.
Oh yes, most definitely,
right?
Man. Definitely. Yeah.
I think most people would agree that he's actually gifted in that area, right? But Steph didn't just say, "I'm gifted as a shooter. I'm just going. This is going to be what it is." No, he works and cultivates that gift. He's in the gym day in, day out, sharpening his skill at shooting the basketball. Even though he's gifted in that area, he's still sharpening and cultivating that gift. We all have that same responsibility. So for myself, I know that I don't enjoy working with my hands. I don't want to be the one working on cars and doing construction work. That does nothing for me. My gift is in using my voice. My gift is in speaking in individuals and encouraging, inspiring, coaching, mentoring. That's my gift. But I still have to do my due diligence and making sure that I'm cultivating my gift by teaching myself, by educating myself, by learning. Even the teacher has to be a student. So it starts with humility.
Well, I like that, man. So Dr. Randall Pinkett said once that people see success, but they don't see the process of success.
Right.
People see Steph Curry making these unbelievable shots, right?
Right.
They don't see that he works very hard on that. They don't see that all the time, but he'll share some of that with you. But to your point, whatever you want to be, whether you want to be a doctor, a good parent, a good brother, a good sister, whatever you want to be, a professional or just a good worker in anything, it's going to take dedication of you cultivating this skill that you have. But the first step is identifying what it is. And
Agreed.
whether people buy your book or whether people Google that on YouTube, right? There are all kind of knowledge or ways out there for you to find that path or find out what questions do you ask yourself to get to the place where you have an idea of what you feel like you're good at, what your what your gifts are. And then also it could be, what do you lose time doing? What do you do that you like lose time, you can do it forever? Or what would you do if you could, if money was not an issue,
You
what
do
would
it for free.
you do, right? So once you
Yep.
find that out and try things, then you got to cultivate it.
Yep.
And then what's the next step after you find out what it is you're good at, your gifts, then you cultivate it. What are the next steps?
Well, that depends on the individual, because so if you know what it is and you cultivate it, do you want to develop a business around that? Or do you just want to work in the field doing that? And there are people who have an idea and not sure, so they're uncertain as if they want to or not. I try to coach people if they have the ambition to turn your passion into profit. Passion, purpose, profit. So you turn that into a business, because no matter what it is that you can do, you can find a way to do it and make money doing it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Now, the other thing that amazed me about your story is that there was a photo of you on one of your social media posts where you had this vision, and it was so big. You had this big white board and you were sitting on the ground. So tell us about that process of writing out your vision and having to be so big. Tell me about where you were and the backdrop to that picture.
There's a scripture that I memorized. It says, "Write the vision, make it plain, that the one who reads it may run. Though the vision tarries, wait for it'll certainly come." There's power in the pen. So because there's power in the pen, you think it, then you ink it. You think it, then you ink it. The moment you write it down, it is already in the manifestation process of coming towards you. Just because you wrote it down. There's just a magic that God has placed into the universe once you've written something down, because it shows to him how more serious you are about that because you've taken the time to write it down. So I have my vision and my dreams and goals are so big, I can't write them on a sheet of paper. So I bought a big whiteboard and I write them on there. My goal this year is to retire my mother. I want to make sure that I can tell my mother that she can, that's my why. When I get up in the morning, I'm visualizing, I see myself retiring my mother. That's another thing, is that most people don't have a why. You got to start with why. Simon Sinek has a book that says start with why.
Yeah.
What is the reason why you're doing what it is that you're doing? If you don't have a reason for why you're doing it, and it's not big enough for you, then when times get hard, you're just going to quit. You got to have reasons.
So I like what you're saying, because you think it and you ink it. Well, this one, you put that on a t-shirt, right? But I like that. And so this process that we all need to go through, that you went through, is you really had to identify what it is you were good at, what your gifts were. Once you did that, you cultivated it, and you started writing down your plan, your vision.
Yeah.
And whether you're writing it down, whether you're putting pictures, it's all about just putting that down, and journaling is important. So when you talk to someone who says, "Oh, I know what my goals are, I don't need to write them down," what do you tell people like that?
It's a mindset shift, and it's not easy because a lot of people don't understand the power of writing things down. I would ask them a series of questions, like, number one, are you completing the goals that are in your head? Because most people have them in their head, but they're not really completing them anyway.
Yeah.
How often are you really seeing them? And it's good to get things out of your head because we're already thinking about so much. We're bombarded by so much information on so much on a regular basis. It's good to get things out of your head for mental clarity so that you can have room for ideas. There's something called brain fatigue. Most people don't know that the reason why, if they even know, that Steve Jobs, before he died, wore the same thing every day. Mark Zuckerberg and another billionaire, they wear the same thing every day. And if they do know that, they don't know why. The reason why is because there's something called brain fatigue. Every decision that you make or what's held into your head slowly eats at your brain for that particular day and what's going on in your mindset and process. So for them not to make that one extra decision to think about what they have to wear, that's more brain space that they can use for creative ideas. So it decreases their chances for brain fatigue. That's the reason why they do it. So by getting things out of your head, that gives your head and your brain more space for creative ideas. One idea can take you where you want to go and beyond. One. Google was one idea. Facebook was one idea. Uber was one idea implemented. So why not maximize the chance and the opportunity that you have for more ideas if one idea can take you where you want to go and beyond?
So what I'm hearing from this is no matter where you are in this process, if you don't know what your thing is, or you don't know how to cultivate it, or you're not clear about your vision or your purpose, writing it down, the process of just writing down whatever's in your head, getting it on paper will help clarify that. And if you don't feel like it, then that's another opportunity for you to practice some discipline, right? Like do it. And really, the things you don't feel like doing are probably the things that you really need to do the most.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a reason why you don't feel like doing it. But you know what? It's those people that do those things that everybody won't do while they are where they are.
Yeah.
If everybody was doing it, it'd be easy and we'd all be successful. It's the things that we don't want to do. It's only easy if you do it. You can't say it's easy, you don't do it. Writing your goals is easy. Wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Not easy,
so here's what I'll tell you with COVID and everything going on right now, people have been going through, and I'll just say we have been going through a lot of depression. And even with me, my brother passed away in April of 2020, and a number of other family members have passed away. And even I found myself in bed knowing that I need to get up and do certain things, but just not feeling like it. And I asked myself, man, it's like, this is what depression is about. Like, knowing is not enough, right? And even, so what's the solution to really take action when you really don't feel like it? Is there a solution or a path to that you found with your experience and with your coaching?
First of all, condolences. I'm sorry to hear about your brother.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Second of all, so we are creatures of habit, right? So because we're creatures of habit, we have to make sure that we're creating habits that are beneficial to us. One of my habits that has become a lifestyle is working out, staying fit, staying in the gym. Not only because of how it helps me look and feel, but I've created such a discipline and a habit from it that discipline and habit then spills over to other areas of my life. So to answer your question, you start off by doing something that is either one, easier for you to do, or two, beneficial for you. And you start there. You start off with very small things first. You don't make yourself do it every single day. You start off twice a week or 3 times a week, and then you build upon those successes. So you start small, build a small habit first, and then grow from there.
And that could be with anything, right? That could be journaling,
Exactly.
that could
Exactly.
be praying, that could be as easy as making up your bed when you wake up in the morning.
Agreed. Right. And then you just make it a habit because we're all creatures of habit. We do things. So 90% of our life is played out through our subconscious mind, which means there are habits. There are things that are fixated into our mind because we've been doing them and saying them over and over and over again. So you have to be able to recreate new habits that are going to benefit you.
So the reason why people should listen to you is not because you have reached this level of success now as a successful real estate agent, a successful author, a successful poet, a public speaker. It's not just because you've reached this level of success, but it's the process that you went through. It's the learning that you've gone through and your ability to be vulnerable and to share it. And so this topic that we're talking about is really visioning and goal setting. And we usually talk about that in the beginning of the year. And then we talk about other topics throughout the year. But if you're gonna, like if this was your moment to be a Tony Robbins or a Jim Rohn or a Les Brown, you know, someone's gonna listen to this video and only listen for a very short period of time, what would your message be to them to be that one piece that they need to hear to keep going that you used when you were going through your 3 years of sleeping at different friends' homes?
I would say set yourself apart from being like everybody else. And there are things that you can do to set yourself apart from being like everybody else. I'm gonna give you 8 things. 8 things to set yourself apart. Number 1, punctuality. Being early is being on time. So never plan to be somewhere the time you're supposed to be there. I'm going to say that again. Never plan to be somewhere the time you're supposed to be there. So if I'm supposed to be there at 7 o'clock and it takes me 30 minutes to get there, I'm not leaving at 6:30. I'm leaving at 5:45, 6 o'clock at the latest. Because you have to account for things that you don't know are going to be obstacles and hurdles. Traffic, parking, phone calls, unexpected bathroom break. You just don't know what's going to happen. So I've noticed that when you're running late, immediately you're running through your mind the excuse that you're going to give as to why you're late. That should never be a thing. Now you sound like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Set yourself apart by being early. If you're 30 minutes early, great. Now you have time to make phone calls, write your goals, review your goals, read a book, study, follow up on past clients, visualize, or even take a nap. So number 1, being on time. Number 2, make a decision and act. Do not procrastinate. Procrastination is the killer of dreams. Act now. I always say, just Nike, just do it.
Right on.
Number 3, discipline. Now, along with discipline is cutting away distractions. There's a saying I believe God gave me years ago. It says, dictate those distractions that deter you from your destiny and distance yourself with a determined discipline. I'm going to say that again. Dictate those distractions that deter you from your destiny and distance yourself with a determined discipline. So whatever those distractions are, get away from them. If they're social media, delete the app. Or use, there's a block app where you can set time parameters for how long you can be on the app.
Oh, okay.
So set up systems in place for you to stay on task on what needs to be done. All right. Number 4, remembering people's name. How often do you go out and meet somebody, you ask them for their name, and within 5 minutes, you can't remember what it is? Somebody's name is the sweetest sound to their ears. You set yourself apart when you ask somebody for their name, and then you can repeat it back to them. One way of doing this is after they tell your name, you use it in a sentence. What is your name? Clifton. Clifton, it's nice to meet you, Clifton. Clifton, where are you from? At least 3 or 4 times, repeat their name back to them. It shows them that you are listening, you are aware, and they are important. You're setting yourself apart.
And thank you for giving me that tip, Andre. Because so many times we go like, man, I'm not good with names. I'm not good with names. Don't speak what you don't want, right?
Look, the moment you say I'm not good with names, you're not good with names.
Exactly. So stop that.
Whether you think you are or you think you aren't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 5, read. Every single day, read. Read and study. Number 6, smile. Most people don't smile often. Did you know that you can change somebody's mood just by smiling? It could be a complete stranger. All right. Number 7, keep your promises. Even small promises like, hey, I'm gonna call you back after 6. Small things like that. If you tell somebody you'll call them back after 6 and you actually call them back after 6, watch and see how surprised they are because they're not expecting you to actually call back.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm gonna give you a tip for how to do that. Do not rely on your memory. You have a smartphone. Place a reminder in your phone. Call this person at 6:15. It doesn't matter if you use a reminder or not. The fact that you call them shows them that they're important and that you are a person of your word.
Simple as that, yeah.
That's it. That's number 7. And the last one, be yourself. You can set yourself apart by not trying to be like everybody else and being like the masses and what the world says you should be and should do and what's important to you, but just being yourself.
Man, and here's the thing. And when you're being yourself, you are unique because there's only one of you, right?
Yep.
And that is your purpose, right? Be you, because that is going to help you be a blessing to other people.
Yep.
Now,
Agreed.
Pardon me?
Agreed, 100%.
Now, there's everything that you mentioned here, every word that you used could be an hour video in and of itself, right? Because you talked about, the 3 A's of being aware, acceptance, and taking action. You talked about being disciplined. You talked about knowing your gifts, cultivating them. You thinking it, inking it. You also talked about the 6 steps. The 8 steps, right? I went to 6 to 8. So you got being on time, act, being disciplined, remembering people's names, reading, smiling, keeping your promises, and being yourself. So all of that stuff and the additional resources, including links to how to stay in touch with you, is going to be down in the description of this video so that you can come back to it, listen to this video over and over again. And not only that, but be connected to resources to help you take a deeper dive in any area that you find that you need to take a deeper dive in, whether it's identifying your gifts, cultivating them, visioning, journaling, goal setting, whatever that might be. But Andre, if you can tell me right now, if someone wants to stay in touch with you or get in touch with you or even buy your book, how do they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram at You Will Notice Me. It's the letter U and then Will Notice Me. There's a link to my book there, but if you want the link separately, it's purposeforme.com. And I'm shipping it to anybody who wants to find out their purpose. And I'm excited for that. So your purpose is not for you. Find out who it's for and discover what yours is.
So I like your title, man, because I always find that, we're giving gifts to be a blessing for others.
Yeah.
And there's a Dr. Michael Roberts was one of our guest speakers, and he said that, you don't make your dreams come true.
Right.
Other people do.
Right.
And nothing of significance can ever be done alone.
Right.
So I haven't read your book yet, but I'm going to, because I think when you go to the link, it says pre-order book, but your book is already out, so we're not pre-ordering.
It's out. It's out. I have to have my website person change that, but it's out.
Okay, so when we go there, it's not a pre-order. We'll go there, and the books will be.
It's an actual order.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, man, I am definitely going to read the book, and I really want this to happen. So when you go out and take action on what you've gotten out of this video, I want you to add comments below and share what you got out of it. Don't keep this a secret. You should be sharing this video with someone, and sharing the Empower series with someone, sharing Andre's book with someone, and identifying your purpose and sharing what that is under the description, or just contacting Andre on his social media, on the Empower series social media. Stay connected and not let this be the end. So, hey, Andre, we can talk forever, couldn't we?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here for it.
So I appreciate you so much, man, for taking a portion out of your life to, again, pour into the Empower series, because the most valuable resource we have is our time.
Yep.
We can never get that back.
Never.
So as a closing remark, what would be your closing comments as we kind of wrap this up for tonight, so that we can go back and hit replay and listen to it again? How would you close us out?
I would say that life in one word is love. And the best way to show love is to give. So with that, I live to give.
Most definitely, man. Hey, it's all about love. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening and committing your time to listen to the Empower series. Don't keep this to yourself. Take action. Know that you can realize and live the vision that you have in your heart and your purpose. Be inspired to take action. Always continually read and educate yourself, and be that resource for someone else to take that next step to achieve their goal. So thank you again. And until we meet again, I want you to stay empowered and inspired to thrive. Thank you for watching our Empower Series YouTube video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit the subscribe button below, as well as the little button to be notified the next time we upload our video. Until then, stay connected with us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever your social media flavor is. Inspire the world to thrive. See you soon.